We have a very special program tonight. I joked earlier, we have more celebrations this weekend than I think a weekend can hold. But we're celebrating coeducation, we're celebrating the rededication of Dartmouth Hall, we're celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Hopkins Center, and Filippo has managed to put together a program that reflects all of them, including also a very special new initiative at the Hop. So I'm gonna just turn it over to you, Filippo, and let you get started.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. So this program this evening, in line with the historic event that this evening is, will feature 3 somehow revolutionary works. The evening will start with the piano concerto written by the African-American woman Florence Price. Florence Price was the first African-American woman to be featured by a major American symphony orchestra. She broke many more barriers, and she wrote a lot of music that was most recently also rediscovered. Some of them was really lost. We thought it was lost. Tonight we will present the piano concerto in 1 movement that she wrote in 1934. That was premiered in Chicago, and we have, thanks to the Benjamin Shore Fund for Excellence in Piano Performance, that I really want to profoundly thank the people that made this gift. This is the first use of this gift, which is funding our wonderful pianist by the name of Karen Walwyn, who's a Florence Price expert. She teaches at Howard University, and we will perform the piano concerto by Florence Price, which is kind of, it's in 3 movements, but it's a short, it's a short concerto in 3 short movements. You'll hear it's a wonderful piece. Second movement is really moving piece of music. The last movement is a dance. It's a ragtime dance. So we're opening the program with that. The second part of the first half of the program will feature Lincoln Portrait by Aaron Copland. Now, Copland, as you all know, has been considered the dean of the American composers, the composer that invented the American classical sound. And this piece was written in the 40s, in 42, commissioned to Copland during the time of war. The commissioners asked Mr. Copland to feature the history of an eminent American person, an inspirational figure. And after a lot of thinking, Mr. Copland decided to write a piece on President Lincoln. And tonight we will hear this wonderful piece that has this Americana sound, as it is quite usual in the music of Copland, features folk tunes, but also features a narrator that speaks some of the word of Mr. Lincoln, the most significant words of the president. And we have a special guest tonight as a narrator, board member and Dartmouth alum Sharon Washington. The second half of the program also features a revolutionary work by one of the greatest composers of Western classical music history, Hector Berlioz, who wrote this piece called Symphonie Fantastique. And the reason is because he wanted to depict a day in the life of an artist. But Berlioz was also a very peculiar, eccentric person, and so this day in this day of this artist that is madly in love with this woman ends up somehow in hell. And the last movement is actually full of very interesting effects that recalls witches and skeletons. But it's an incredible journey. And what is revolutionary about this piece is the symphony itself. which is full of unconventional rhythm, unconventional harmony, mood swings, and yet we have a beautiful ball in the middle. We have a scene in the meadows where we can hear these shepherds talking to each other through in English on a hobo. So it really is a piece that shocked the audience when it was performed, and now made it in the literature of great orchestral masterpiece, a piece of extreme difficulty for the orchestra, but yet is, even if now it's part of the tradition, is still a greatly revolutionary work, which we thought was fitting for this historic celebration of the harp.
Filippo, tell us how it's possible for you to accomplish these masterworks, these great works on a program like this so early in the academic year with these students.
It's possible through the great commitment of our students, who have, first of all, students are very accomplished musicians as they arrive to Dartmouth, because they come from pre-collegiate, highly rigorous and very highly accomplished programs. And then they decide, despite their busy academic schedule, to keep music a priority in their lives and dedicate a big part of their life at Dartmouth and their time to practice and study together in this orchestra, which also becomes a community for these students. They really make friends for life here. And then, through the support of the Hopkins Center and all of you, we're able to bring these wonderful professional musicians and mentors. Part of them are teachers, part of them are freelancers that come. Some of them came early to have sectionals with their own students, so that we can fill the spots in the orchestra that our students do not fill, and create this music together.
It's a very large orchestra.
Oh, yes.
And it's a little tight on the stage.
Yes.
So there's some acrobatics going on as well,
Definitely so, yes. We have to thank our wonderful production team for being able to shift parts so quickly.
I have to thank you, Filippo, because we, especially because of this wonderful, generous legacy gift from Ben Scher for piano performance. We wanted not only to have a program that reflected the celebrations of the weekend, but would amplify piano performance. And so we talked about repertoire, which is not our common thing to talk about. And
that was a very fun conversation.
But the Lincoln portrait, I'm sitting here, I was just given, thank you, John Fox, for these gifts. I was just given the inaugural program in November 1962 of the opening of the Hopkins Center. Isn't that amazing? Thank you, John. And this weekend, 60 years ago, Leonard Bernstein, and of course Lincoln Center is our little sister, right? Let's just remind everybody. But this weekend, 60 years ago, Lincoln Center opened, the New York Philharmonic opened under the baton of Leonard Bernstein. And so 20 years after Lincoln Portrait was written, Maestro Bernstein decided that it was an important piece for its time in the mid-60s. It was an important piece for its time in the early 40s, and now I think when you hear it, you'll feel it's a relevant and important time, not just because of the relationship and the anniversaries, but for where we are as a society. So I thank you so much, Filippo, for being willing to explore these works and invite these artists to be with us. It's been real joy.
The pleasure is really all mine. These works you'll hear are all masterpieces in their own musical language, and the message that the Copland, the Lincoln Portrait brings is so distinctive and so, as you said, so contemporary and fresh still today that I find the piece extremely moving personally.
So Filippo does have to go and get ready for the concert, and I would love to show you what you can anticipate here at the Hopkins Center. Does anybody have any questions for Filippo before he leaves? Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Bravo, bravo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Filippo. So the other gift that John was generous enough to bring to us is this amazing reproduction of a manuscript in the original hand with markings that also reflects on and celebrates the opening of Lincoln Center, again, 60 years ago today. And it is a fanfare for a new theater by Igor Stravinsky, dedicated to Lincoln Kirsten and George Balanchine. So as we move forward, I think it's very important to remember our legacy, and this is part of our legacy right here. And I can't help but pull this out, but there's an essay in the program book for the opening of the HOP, written by Warner Bentley. And I think this is something you can all relate to. The title is A Long Time Coming, but Well Worth Waiting For. So here we are 60 years later, and it's the same theme. I won't go into the details of his essay, but basically he says, over the past 34 years, 4 different buildings have been planned to occupy the site where the Hopkins Center now stands. The concept for the 1962 Hopkins Center and the magnificent plan that Wallace Harrison has given us make this building far superior to any of the buildings we had planned in the past. So all we can hope for is that we do likewise. And so with that, I thought I'd share a little bit of what you might be able to anticipate. I think you all know tomorrow we're doing a theater district or an arts district open house for everyone. There'll be celebrations through Tuesday, which will be the last performance before we begin to transition into Hop Everywhere. Programming will continue throughout our community, but before we actually pack up, here's what we have to offer. So this is what the Hopkins Center looked like in 1962. Little homogeneity here. Do we recognize some common themes, right? Well, here's a little film that brings some of the inspiration that we've been looking at to bring the new Hop to you.
The Hopkins Center project is an embrace of the 21st century in this iconic and magnificent building.
We've been thinking about a framework of welcome, gather, and create for what we're hoping to do with this renovation of the Hop and by extension the Arts District. Welcoming is really just inviting people in to explore, to experiment, to try something they haven't done. Create is really important to us too, right? To think about giving students an easy, open, accessible place for them to express creativity. And gather. You know, this has been a place on campus where students gather for all sorts of things.
I think a lot of students here are very interdisciplinary and really know how to tap into their different passions. And so in this way, like, the arts really functions not only as a space for entertainment, but also often as a space for collaboration for students.
I'm really excited about the possibility of flexible, adaptable performance spaces that don't have a kind of prescribed mode of audience interaction. Spaces like the Performance Lab that are rigged up for any orientation, that give artists really the possibility to dream and specify exactly how they want each moment of the ritual to unfold is really, really exciting.
One of the most powerful aspects of this new dedicated dance space is that It creates an opportunity for resident artists, visiting artists, students at Dartmouth to create and share the work that they create with each other and also with all of you.
The most exciting thing for me for the renovation of the hop is the creation of a new recital hall. Not only will be a versatile space, but it will be right across the green. And we will be able to see the green from the recital hall, and campus will be able to see the arts at Dartmouth as a central part of the education of our students.
The arts are there to foster creativity and to foster connections between those different areas. The hop is not just a place at Dartmouth, it's also an artery that draws people in and gets them excited and inspires them, but also pumps out ideas and creative juices out into the community.
I think students are going to go out into a world that's really complex with lots of different cultures and different belief systems and different kinds of people. And my experience is the arts is a place where you can explore that with kindness and grace and a spirit of learning.
It is wonderful to be able to welcome Snøhetta, the world-renowned design firm, to join us here at Dartmouth in the Arts District. They know how to bring the outdoors inside in their designs, and we're so excited to see how they've created light everywhere.
We're creating this multidisciplinary arts district on campus that's bringing together all of the different ways in which people create.
At Dartmouth, everyone's a creator, and the Hopkins Center is being designed in a radical way to make sure that everyone is included in that work.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is the Hopkins Center today, and that's the Hopkins Center we'll have.
Flip back one more time.
Sure. Sure. So you'll see as we go through,
There's two little windows right now.
that's the faculty lounge that are right, that's right there. And that's where that's where the new wing will be, to the right.
So we're in this part right now
Is in the original building, and you'll see more as I go. So this is what we are today. This is what we'll be tomorrow. And Laurel Ritchie said in her comments that we're really focusing on welcome. So this central entryway that you see in the middle of the building is really meant to be an opening of arms that welcomes especially this community into this building. We will be, this is considered phase one of the Hopkins Center. We will be touching 70,000 square feet, which is about half of the building. But we will be gaining more than half of increased capacity, both in terms of spaces to use and technology. And the new wing will add 15,000 square feet. So a lot of it is really efficient reimagining of original spaces to be adaptable for the 21st century. The top of the hop, which is toward the left next to the Hood Museum, is where you are now. That will get a refresh. And then the Moore Lobby becomes more of a destination with a centrally located entryway, which is essentially on the terrace that's right next to us. And this is a closer look so that you can see what the view of the recital hall would be and what it looks like when you come into the building with two sculpted plazas on either side of the entryway. And under the recital hall is the upper ribbon, glass ribbon of a brand new professional dance studio. We don't have a dance studio in this building at this point. We have one over at the gym, which has its own percussive addition because it's between squash courts. So this will be better. When you walk into the new hop, you'll walk into what we call the forum. On the right is the Jaffe Friede, the reimagined Jaffe Friede Gallery. The Forum is an atrium, a staircase that brings you up to this floor with faculty offices around the stairwell. Top of the Hop gets a complete refresh, and if you look very close, my favorite part is the bar that's going to be over in front of the window there so that we can serve coffee and snacks during the day to students who are here for classes, either in the recital hall or the new performance lab. And then we'll have a built-in opportunity for parties and lobby drinks from the Moore. Another view of Top of the Hop, and then of course it becomes a cabaret in the evening, and yes, the fireplace stays, and we intend to have actual wood in the fireplace as opposed to plastic sculptures of wood and fire. The ledge right now has been closed for many years, but it will be reopened and become an extension of Top of the Hop as our front porch. And secured for beautiful views and wonderful weather. The top of the atrium of the Forum links what will be the performance lab on that side, behind the recital hall, to Top of the Hop. And so you can just imagine the flow of activity on this floor with a performance lab there, at the Moore lobby here, Top of the Hop being a destination. And in fact, this will be much more of a discrete destination with doors, with a doorway there that allows you to enter, and sound secured. The staircase will actually be removed in order for us to be able to have this as a separate space. That's Filippo's favorite view, and I would just add that the mullions, the design of the windows really are meant to mirror Baker Tower and the pine trees around us. So Snøhetta is our architect, and they are an outstanding design firm from Norway. And it's not just that they're from the north that we felt that aesthetically they understood us, but they deeply loved this building and wanted to be sure that whatever they did in or around this building would respect its history. And they have a wonderful expertise in being able to do that. The Performance Lab is actually what you all probably know now as Alumni Hall. It will have its own corridor and a south view, so lots of light coming into the building. And that's the rendering that you saw when our Professor Ash Fiore was talking about the importance of adaptability. I don't think we're going to try all of this at once, but it can happen. This is just a cross-section of what you can see is changing on all levels. So if you start at the top, the recital hall out front, the hallway across to where we are now, the upper level of the atrium, and then the corridor past the performance lab with a nice round look into the scene shop down there. The next floor, our entryway with the centralized entryway. The empty box is actually a classroom. We're going to have a classroom in the front of the building, and we'll show you that in a minute. And then a wonderful destination lobby for people to hang out, and then walk back to the cafe, which will, I should tell you that French fries will be available throughout the construction period. Just want to let you know the important stuff. Down on the lower level, the dance studio, kind of across the hall, which you can't see. All of the shops remain there. The jewelry studio gets an expansion. There's a new entryway to the Bentley that's fully accessible and much more navigable. There's a dedicated theater rehearsal space so that most of the rehearsals for what happens on the Moore stage can actually happen in a rehearsal room, which is very exciting. That gives us more opportunity to use the Moore stage. And of course, the recital recital hall is also a rehearsal space for all of our ensembles, so that gives us more space in Spalding as well. And then down the hallway further is a studio for light and theater set design. This is the theater lab, the theater rehearsal lab. So the theater department is pretty excited about having places to be able to hang lights and to mirror what would happen on the stage. And this is the dance studio with natural light coming in at the top and beautiful landscaping. The south side of the building, the alumni hall, we actually take the roof off and we build up. And that gives us the scale to be able to do that performance lab. And the cement on the exterior actually mirrors the mullions on the recital hall. That's the seminar room that's out front that you can see when you come up to the building, which is really wonderful. The new Jaffe Freedy. And currently where the Hinman boxes are will be a student commons. Mail is not a thing anymore. Packages are a thing now. And if you ever thought that moving the Hinman boxes might not be a great idea, all I would suggest you do is, like I do, watch the plaza for just a few minutes and watch those students try to get their Amazon packages out of the front doors of this building. It's really a juggling act. But there's a new contemporary mail system being developed. But the Hinman boxes will be part of our decor as memory. That's one of the new faculty offices that will be in the atrium. And before I go here, I just want to say, this is really for you all, more than anybody, because you're here with our community, you build our community, and it is such a privilege. We've shared these images in lots of different places, but it's really just a privilege now to be able to share it here in the Upper Valley. And we're hoping that we can get all of you to be excited, to be advocates, to be buzz makers, and to be supporters of this project in any way you feel is appropriate. And I have to say we have a stunning group of community campaign steering committee members who came together to say, the Upper Valley has to make a difference in this project. And we could not be more inspired by their leadership and their Barbara and Dick Couch, who I don't think are here, Claire Forrester and Dan Bernstein, who are here, Kelly Fowler-Hunter and Andre, Nene Myers, and Rick and Linda Rush, who are also here. Give them a round of applause for their leadership. And, you know, there are plenty of ways to participate, some coming with plaque recognition and program recognition and all the things that advancement talk about, but really any gift is so valued because it means you care. And in order to inspire us further, I'm very excited to say that Dan and Claire we're announcing tonight that Dan and Claire have made a $1 million matching grant. We're hoping to raise $5 million in the community. We already have $2 million committed. They've added another $1 million, and I feel very grateful and hopeful that we can do this together. So thank you all. Thank you. Thank you, Dan and Claire. So our colleague Jennifer Casey is here. We have some brochures out and about so you can take home some of the pretty pictures. If you don't want to take them home tonight, you'll find them in your mailbox because we know where you all live. And we just hope that you have some joy doing this. Ginya.
Yes, please. Very quickly. Faculty. offices. And the faculty are so key. And I've been fascinated at Thayer School, where the faculty have lovely offices looking outside. So tell us about the faculty offices in the new hop.
Right. Thank you, Jenya. Thank you. As I think you all know, and some of you from your own work in this building, the majority of the faculty offices, particularly in the music department, are subterranean. And that is a condition that will not be completely eradicated because there are just too many faculty members. But as we are developing different aspects of the building, we're trying to get as much of the work and the faculty and the teaching out of the basement. So I think there are 12 faculty offices that encircle the staircase on the second floor, and they are to be shared between theater and music, and those decisions have not been made by the departments yet. But it's a step in the right direction. And the other thing that's very exciting is in the music department, Hartman, which is our largest rehearsal space currently, and Lower Buck, which is an important teaching space, will also get a complete renovation. So there's some improvements, about halfway there, a way to go. Yeah.
Outside of the building itself, has there been any consideration about how the students are going to get from the green to the hockey center? Because right now there's a plethora of ways of getting across here. It's quite difficult. Drivers try to get through, but it places belongs to students. Has there been any thought about how having the central access will facilitate channeling students so that they'll be able to access this wonderful building more easily and safely?
There is not a change to Wheelock, if that's what you're suggesting, and there's not a change to the patterns of the pathways on the green. However, you can see that there are two sculpted areas. This is actually the beginning of an arts district, and I think that the way that the plazas are sculpted and how they reach into the sidewalk will be a considerable improvement for not just how to get here, but how to want to stay here. So I don't know if I understood your question, but I hope that was a good answer. Okay, Tom.
Can you say anything about the challenges and successes of programming for the next 2 years?
I can. And if you haven't seen, there was an article, there was an editorial in the D from students who are very concerned about us being able to maintain the kind of programming that we've been doing. And I will tell you, I'm excited to say that the music faculty and the theater faculty and some of the HOP staff are moving over to Zudikoff, which is right behind the library. There will be rehearsal spaces there. There will be practice rooms there. There'll be room for instruments to be held up. So all the back of house stuff is going to be in Zudikoff. The HOP box office is going to move to the Black Family Visual Arts Center, as will all of the studios. So jewelry and ceramics will be inside the Black Family Visual Arts Center, and we're looking for ways to accommodate the woodshop in and around the Black Family Visual Arts Center. So those have been accomplished, and we're really excited about our music performances being welcomed into Christ Church, right behind me, and Rollins Chapel, which is currently under renovation, but has a beautiful new radiant floor and heating system that's dry, and radiators that don't think that they need to be part of the percussion section. So we're really excited about that. But we are also identifying other places around campus and around the region, and around the state, and ultimately around the world. So when we say we're going to be everywhere, we really mean everywhere. So you all will have opportunities to see similar kinds of work that you've seen in this building during the next 2 years, whether it's here, or it's not here in this building, but here on campus, or at the Lebanon Opera House we've been talking to, Northern Stage. We want to try to lift up our arts community by sharing what we do in the arts community. So if any of you board members are involved with other organizations, we're excited about doing that, so we should talk about it. The other thing that we're doing is we're commissioning new works that will be premiering in places where our alums are concentrated around the country and around the world. That will be the population that will be populating our return back to the Hopkins Center. So we just produced Ritual of Breath. It was just at Stanford. It will be touring, and we've just commissioned a new Mark Morris dance group piece that is a celebration of Burt Bacharach. So needless to say, we love mid-20th century. So, yeah. Thank you.
What happened to the zone congestion at the rear of Spalding?
Oh, yeah. So, not this phase. The lobby will, Spalding Auditorium is getting much needed attention. It is getting accessibility to the stage from the auditorium and a dressing room backstage that's fully accessible. It's also getting acoustics, new acoustics, and new seats, so it'll be easier to navigate. But the lobby won't be touched this time around. So, yeah.
What will film play in all of the arts here? The film series, all of that? Is that going to continue or expand? Or?
Yeah, I imagine that we'll probably have more time for film. We'll be primarily in the Black Family Visual Arts Center, and as I said, our box office will be over there, so it'll be a kind of, it will be a kind of new home for us, which is exciting as we're thinking about all of this as an arts district, as a destination arts district. So yeah, absolutely. Sabrina.
I absolutely love the idea that you are commissioning things and working them out into the world wherever alumni are at this time. It's like this space that's open to you, which is awesome. I heard you say that jewelry and those folks are going to move over to black because Spalding is only getting an update and the music department faculty is not changing at this point. Will students who are studying music be able to like function in that same space, or will they have extended space also?
Yeah,
fully based people.
Yeah, no, they'll have expanded space also. And the other thing that we're working very hard with the college on is as the college is thinking about adding housing, I don't know about you, but I learned how to play and I practice my instrument in my house, right? So, we have so many students now that are taking individual lessons that we have to expand the way in which we serve that need. So that's another element. Yeah. I don't know how I'm doing on time. I think we're close, yeah. Any other last questions? Well, there's still a little food and drink, and I thank you all so much for all the care and love that you give this place, and for the 60 years of service this building has given us. Cheers.